We got hards on. We're going to the end.
God save the king. And I ain't talking Philip. Is he the king? I don't even know who our king is at the moment. I know who my king is. He's about 5 foot nothing and half Belgian. That's right, Lando Norris, ladies and gentlemen, wins the British Grand Prix. Oh my god. And by the way, what a Grand Prix it was. I feel like there is so much to talk about. I'm actually going to do my usual format. I feel like in the last few episodes, partly out of throwing a tantrum maybe, because maybe my driver didn't do too good, even though he has won lost. Has he won the last 3 races? No, 2 races? No, it's just 2 in a row, right? Because before Austria, I believe, was Canada, so definitely not the last 3, I don't think. But just, out of a strop sometimes, maybe sometimes the races weren't too interesting. I haven't been doing my typical format. Whereas now there's so much to talk about, I actually feel like it's worth it. So we're actually going to go for it. I'm actually going to probably do Rate My Quality. We're going to talk about the race rundown. We're going to do soft, medium, hard awards, right? For a Silverstone that packed a punch. It delivered rain, and with rain, and it was a good kind of rain. It wasn't like, delayed race start and all this other shit. It was just pure chaos. And ultimately, a feel-good, well, depending on who you are, actually, sorry. For many people, this was a feel bad weekend with one glimmer of light, which you can probably guess what that is. We'll get to that at the end. Throughout. But for me, it was a feel good weekend. There's only one thing I would change, really, and it would probably be to switch Piastri and Hamilton's positions. Apart from that, I got basically everything I needed. So let's just jump right into it. Rate my quality. This is going to be a very short segment. I don't think quality was the most interesting thing in the world. Norris should have been on pole, not because he got bad luck or because he got fucked over. Just he should have, in his own ability, put it on pole. He didn't. He was doing well in first practices. When it came to qualifying, the McLarens in the first 2 in Q1, I think Red Bull's on top. In Q2, I think the Ferrari's on top, and then Q3, Verstappen was back on top, I think. And I don't know. At the very least, he should have been ahead of Piastri. I think he was quicker across the weekend up until that point. And he's just got to... There's so many times where Lando hasn't put it on pole, and I think he just has to massively thank the fact that Verstappen did. Because I think on weekends, it's fine enough if he doesn't get pole. But if he's not going to be second, if he's going to be behind Piastri, he needs to hope that Verstappen is the driver who is ahead of Piastri, because he's the only one who's really going to allow Lando to get back into a race and back into a win. But anything else happened in quali? Not really. Lando wasn't on pole. There was some I don't know, Behrman got to Q3, but he got a 10 place grid penalty anyway. There was a couple stuff. I mean, I just feel like that's not waste oxygen on quali when there was a race that justifies the name of this podcast. Hards on. Silverstone is fucking great. And you know what? If I wasn't English, it may be my favourite track. Because I'm just part of me is I don't want to go around. People say, what's your favourite track? I go, Silverstone. They go, okay. Yeah, no. It's that's shit, that. I mean, if you're a driver, sure. But as a fan, Silverstone. It's grow up, mate. Oh, it's your favourite, right? Yeah, the home track. It's Union Jacks and shit around the place. People singing God Save the King and that. The red arrows. It's I don't know, a bunch of quintessentially British things that do we even who even are the red arrows? I don't even know. The red arrows were cool in maybe 2004, or I don't know, when you were on Clacton Beach as a youth, on a little in UK holiday or something, weekend break down by seaside, right? We just wheel these guys out for red arrows fly over the top. I don't know. It just feels like there's... I don't know. Silverstone just seems like a cool track if you're from England to be oh, it's my favourite one. And I always say Austria, and that's not me faking it to be cool. I do love Austria. But I do have to say, look, if I'm doing a top 3, Silverstone has to be up there, because Silverstone is... There's so many places to overtake on there. Overtakes do happen. And it delivers every year. That's the reason why I love Austria, because as far as I've been watching the sport, it hasn't let me down so far. And it just happens to be good for the driver I back, Lando, right? But Silverstone, I mean, with Lewis winning last year, Lewis winning with the 3 tyres, there is just it just always delivers. Through goes Hamilton. I mean, a lot of Hamilton moments. happening at Silverstone, and Silverstone is just a gift that keeps on giving. It has to be said, and I think the rain is a good part of that as well. It's like it's a great track, it's a fast track, and it's a track that's likely to have rain on it. The way we do the middle sectors, because it has been a while, is I used to just like bullet point everything that happened in the race kind of in chronological order, and I kind of got sick of doing that because I immediately forgot everything that happened in the race after I saw the race. So now we pick 5 drivers who, for better or worse, had big impactful races, and we talk about the race through those 5 drivers. The drivers I've picked today, should I say them or should I say them as we go? I have picked 5 drivers who I feel like we can understand what happened in this race just through talking about these drivers' stories throughout the race. That first driver we're going to talk about, no surprises, you win no money for guessing who I'm going to talk about first. It's Lando Norris. It's Lando Norris, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, it feels good. He got an okay start. He could have got Piastri, actually. I feel like Piastri got a better start than Verstappen, but he was kind of held up a little bit by Verstappen in trying to overtake, and Norris was carrying pace through, couldn't quite get past. But in doing so, in trying to almost get past Piastri, he also could have got overtaken by Hamilton. And that was a real threat. I feel like on the first lap, Hamilton pushed him a bit, and then it kind of felt like 2-3 laps later, Hamilton was like sending a move down into like one of those final corners, and like Norris was on the outside, and you know when like they do that angle where it's like it's just straight on and you can't really tell who's in front, you're just going off of the like pitch of Crofty's voice. Like you can't tell who's ahead really. You're just, if Crofty's like, oh, and Hamilton is ahead, you're like, sure, I guess Hamilton's ahead, because to me from this angle they look like they're side by side. They're coming in like that. Crofty's not making it clear who's ahead yet. They're coming into that final corner. It's like second to last corner, and I'm just praying to God that Norris has got it on the inside, and he's got it on the inside. And if like, because this is when like I'm thinking I need you to be catching up, because there's already a bit of a gap. I think about 1.5-2 seconds to Piastri. I know Piastri's eventually going to overtake Verstappen. I need Norris to catch up to Piastri before Piastri overtakes Verstappen. I'm thinking if he loses now to Hamilton, that's a whole yeah, he'll get him back, but that's not the point. You know, you're just missing out on too much stuff. And there was like halfway through, I'm forgetting, right? I'm very happy now, and things all ended up well for me now. There was a large portion of this race, I think halfway through, where I was back to my swearing ways. I was fucking wanting to smash the laptop down. I can't remember what it was. I think it was, he wasn't catching. Piastri was a lot quicker this weekend in the wet conditions, I'll say that. I don't think Norris was really pushing hard enough in the wet, so he did say that. I don't know if that was out of fear of spinning or trying to save tyres, but he just wasn't pushing very hard in the wets, or he just wasn't quick enough in the wets, and Piastri was just quicker than him in wet conditions. And he was slowing, and Piastri was getting past Verstappen, and Norris was almost going back to Hamilton. And then the crossover period happened, and Piastri came in, and he got like, you know, a 2.5 second stop, and Norris's stop was slow, and I thought, oh fuck, you know what I mean? I was just like, everything's going wrong again, and I was like, the only way Norris gets something from this race is if the rain stops, and maybe he'll be quicker in a drier condition than Piastri, or if Piastri spins, I guess, ahead of him. I was like, that's the only way he's getting ahead, and I guess that's kind of what happened. He technically overtook Max twice this race. Both times was through Max fucking spinning around. First time Max kind of just skids off the track. Second time it was like on one of the restarts from the safety cars. Don't ask me which one. There's about 100. Well, to be fair, it wasn't a huge amount of safety cars, I don't think. It was mostly just a lot of people driving off. And when Max just did like a little 360, little pirouette, drove past him that time. And he gets Piastri through the stewards. But ultimately, here's something you can say about Norris, which you can't say about Piastri or Verstappen in this race. I'm pretty sure he had no offs. Didn't drive off the track. Kept it clean. You can't fault him for that. He wasn't that quick in the wet phase, but in the crossover phase and in the dry phase, I said phrase, I think the first time, he had the pace and he showed it. He finished 7 seconds ahead of Piastri. He built that lead, because he came out about 6 seconds ahead, but his tyres were cold, so by the end of the first lap, he was about 4 seconds ahead. And then ultimately, he managed to just put those times in, and he didn't create a huge gap, but he did get it to about 7 seconds by the end of the race. And in doing so, I don't know if Piastri was just driving really angry, really mad, trying to catch him, Piastri had a little off, going into that little chicane thing. Maggots, Beckett's, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just going off what the commentators were saying, and was driving across the grass a little bit, and there's so much to be said just for sometimes in these races, just keep your nose clean. And he was a Brit, and once again the Silverstone gods looked down and they blessed the Brit, and Norris was that Brit today. I don't think you can really fault him for that. Did nothing wrong. Drove a quick, clean race. Had a very good back nine, and yeah. Nice celebrations as well. It wasn't really like a huge fist bump celebration, a huge jump into the crowd. It's not like in Miami. It wasn't a huge, everything's up. Oh, it's going crazy. It was more just like a quiet sort of emotional win. Nice celebrations there with his mum. When she's like, he pulls his visor down and she's like, I want to see your eyes. I want to see, you have your mother's eyes. I don't know, I'm quoting Snape, it's not even relevant to this. But, she looks at his eyes or whatever, and she tells him to enjoy it. Because I feel like Lando beats himself up probably a lot when he's probably finished in P2 and P3. You got to win now, enjoy the win, It's a good moment. Don't just brush wins to the side and the happy moments to the side and then fester in the shit moments. But yeah, it was a nice thing winning at Silverstone. I needed this badly. It's 2 wins on the trot. And the gap now to Piastri, I think it was 15 before this. I think the point swing for first to second is maybe 6 points, meaning it's now a 9-point swing maybe. Going into Oscar's favourite track, I believe, Spa, where he's very good. So we'll see. Maybe if there's more rain there's usually a lot of rain at Spa too, then maybe there'll be more spanners in the works. But, moving on to the second driver we're going to experience this race through. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. These are in no particular order. I'm just trying to, not put all the most important talky ones at the beginning, right? Max Verstappen. I've got about 1 or 2 lines here about Max, right? Got a worse start than Piastri, but he managed to keep it in front of Piastri. Did eventually get overtaken because his car, I want to build the car for combat, quoting the Brad Pitt movie. The Red Bull team this weekend decided, I want to build the car for dry conditions and straight line speed. The Ferraris and Mercedes, they got us beat on the straights. I want to build my car for combat. Sorry, I'm just quoting Brad again. I'm weaving in between fiction and reality right now. He was like, they were like, I want to build our car for the straights and the dry weather. And it was wet and it was going through turns and shit, and he was spinning everyone. So he didn't really have the car to do much, I guess, throughout the race. But even with all that drifting, all that Tokyo drifting, which probably would look great for some photos, all of that spinning around here and there everywhere, he finished 5th. And his teammate was dead last. Even through all of that drama, he finished right behind Hamilton. Talking about Hamilton, that's the next driver I want to experience this race through, Lewis, who, almost gets Norris towards the beginning of the race and a few laps in, gets got by Russell. This is a great little moment. I've liked about 7 tweets just of the angles from the crowds of the fans watching this, where he gets overtaken by Russell, and then a couple corners later he gets him and he gets Ocon into one corner just around the outside. You love to see that. You love to see Hamilton shining at Silverstone. He was pushing for Hulkenberg, but honestly, I love this Hamilton streak and everything. And by the way, I think it's one of his best stats that he has. I didn't really deep. I looked at a graphic a couple hours after the race and was like, oh, Hamilton streak comes to an end, and it's what was it? 11 races, 12 races or something. This was to make it 12. In a row of getting podiums at Silverstone. And the first 4 were first place, and then a second, and then another first, and then another first, and then another first, and then a third, and then a first, and it's just that is an insane stat, man. More you've got over 100 podiums, you got this many points, this much race distance, this and that, 7 titles, but just something about a consistency on a track like that. In a sport where your engine can just blow up, or just things out of your control can just happen in rain, just always persevere and come through. And this time where he missed out, he got 4th. So it's not and the one he missed out was 8th, he was well off it. No, it was right there still, a few seconds behind him gaining. But at the same time, as much as that would have been a feel-good thing, and as much as I like Lewis, and therefore that would have made this the perfect feel-good weekend if he was on the podium instead of Piastri. Nothing against you, Piastri, just for the feel-good of it all. They've spoken about this type of greed in the Bible. I believe this was the greed in which they spoke, you could say, because Hamilton was fighting here for his 12th podium in a row on one track against a guy who has nil point on anything. I don't even know if in the game he's managed it yet. So, yeah. It's different things are at stake here. And speaking of Hulkenberg, let's get into Hulkenberg, because he is the 4th driver we're going to experience this race through. You can probably guess who the 5th is. Started 19th. I honestly don't know what the fuck happened to get him to where he was, but he kept it tidy, which I kind of acknowledge a little bit of Norris, but it's by far that is so understated. One of the most important things, just keep it clean, man. The thing about when it's raining, everyone wants to put in the perfect pit, right? They want to pit at the perfect time, get the perfect crossover, as if I pit now, a lap before everyone else realizes it's the right thing to do. And yeah, sure, that does work. I could gain so much seconds, and I could undercut 3 cars ahead of me, and I could be the hero if I get it right. You see fucking George Russell, brilliant from George Russell, by the way. George Russell of old, Hail Mary, George Russell, right? I think it's time. Comes out on the hards. That little, what are those instruments called? When the perfect little whistle sound just cuts to George Russell. He's fucking doing 360s, going off the track, right? Yeah. It's you stand to lose so much more than you stand to gain. And it's I feel the most times when you see drivers go from the bottom to the top, especially in cars that aren't the quickest in these kind of conditions, it's just stay on the track. 5 cars DNF'd, and I feel that's a common theme for races like this, right? Sometimes even more. 5 cars DNF'd, and that was just in the first half of the race, I think. Not many happened in the back half. So 5 cars DNF. You got drivers who are just spinning, going off into gravel, and I'm not talking about shitters. I'm talking about Charles Leclerc spinning like crazy. Not partly because he wasn't on the right tyres for a lot of the time, but it's partly just because I was probably pushing at points trying to overtake cars he perceives to be slower ahead of him. George Russell spinning a lot. Max had the wrong setup maybe for this race, spinning a lot. It's just if you can just drive, and sure, you don't even have to. Now, granted, Hulkenberg probably, there's a reason he got from 19 to 30. He probably did have some decent timed pit stops, right? And the team probably did make the right decisions. But at the same time, you can be they were kind of alluding to this, right? With why Piastri and Norris were even pitting as early as they did. Because Piastri did come out and he did kind of spin a little bit. And Lando was don't just fuck. Because they told him, oh, Piastri spun. He's where? What is the danger here? It's if you go out into the street and someone says, oh, careful, there's a shooting happening. What road was it on? Maybe I'll try and avoid it then. Tell me where it happened. But it's why they're 35 seconds ahead? There's nothing to gain from everyone else behind us is quicker. They're 35 seconds behind. You've got laps where you can come out 6 laps after everyone else and still be ahead by so far. I haven't got a risk of being on a wettish track with dry tyres still. And it's I feel if you're a Hulkenberg, or someone, you can come out a lap after the optimum time was. As long as you were just driving quickly, keeping it in the track, then overtakes don't even matter. And Hulkenberg finished 3rd, and he did have to overtake Stroll to get into that 3rd place, and then drive relatively quick to try and evade Hamilton, and then gaps Hamilton a little bit in the pit stop. But it's crazy. And by the way, what a crazy swing in terms of feel-good factor. That from Stroll to fucking Hulkenberg story. That overtake there is just honest vibes just went from there to there. Stroll who got on the radio after the race, they told him, sorry about the car, Stroll, we know it's a crazy car to drive, but P7, it's been really hard for us in the factory. This is great for everyone. I know it's not been great for you, and it's been hard for us as well, but P7 is a great result today, and Lance Stroll just goes back on yeah, you're right, shit car is an understatement.
This car's fucking ass. This is probably the most ass car I've ever driven in my fucking life. This car is maybe the biggest piece of shit. But yeah, P7 good, I guess.
It's like, really great, strong. You know, just trying to have at least the tiniest glimmer of hope throughout the fucking shite.
But probably the biggest fucking shit box I've ever driven in my fucking life. But yeah. Yeah, I guess P7's great.
You know what I mean? Like, biggest swing in terms of feel-good factor, Hulkenberg getting that podium. And he finally gets the podium at Silverstone. He does it in the wet from 19th in the fucking Kick Team Sauber streamer car. And for his hard work, he is rewarded with Legos, if you're American. I thought everyone was getting an actual trophy, and then some fucking, do-it-yourself Hasbro, fucking, Mattel, I'm just thinking of toy companies, this little gimmick afterwards. But no, that's only if you're first, I think. If you're the team, if you just happen to be the team principal second or third on this weekend, then you're getting plastic. With, don't worry though, it's like covered in gold leaf or something. There's elements of like gold and silver in it. It's still Lego. It's like got a bit of gold leaf on it. Sure, it's great. But ultimately, everyone's been making jokes about, you got a bit of Lego, put it together. It's nothing fucking special. Do you know how expensive Lego is these days? Like, I'm not being funny. It's like it's a trophy. It's more what the trophy means to you, more so than the value of the trophy. Like, if we want to be giving out awards to people for winning races, and based off value, I don't even think gold and silver and bronze. He finished third. Like, okay, here's a bronze thing. Like, as if you think Lego's not worth more than bronze. Have you seen the fucking Death Star? How much some of that shit's going for? It's pricey stuff. They could make him a trophy out of Pokemon cards if they wanted to. Some of this shit goes for cash ready Wonga. Okay, so if we're caring about the trophy, rated on value, there's a lot more valuable things he could have got than a piece of fucking bronze, But he gets his little Lego, as long as it's glued together properly, and it's not like, if little pieces are falling off short, I get it. It's maybe not the best thing in the world. If it doesn't feel heavy, I guess it's like, whatever. And especially if you walk around someone's house who has no trophies, and then you see a bit of Lego, you see like a Lego trophy on the shelf, you're probably thinking, you're thinking like, that's sweet, the kids put that together, or so that was like a Christmas. If you walk around Lando's house and there's like a bunch of metal in the cabinet, you're thinking, this guy's a racer. You walk around Hulkenberg's house, you're thinking, God, he never quite made it, but like he's got a bunch of Lego trophies in the background, like just like desperation times. But he gets his trophy, it's feel good. He doesn't know where to put his helmet, it's all new for him, there's all little cute stuff like that. And yeah. Here's another thing we should talk about. He doesn't get covered in champagne. Please cry more. Yep, I'm reverting to Xbox Live chat type lingo right now, and I feel like it's warranted because F1 fans, man, some of the softest fans of any sport. Genuinely. Like, there's other sports where the fans are very soft. I've noticed, like tennis, but it's like I feel like at least with tennis, some of the things they whinge and cry about are a little bit more baked into the etiquette of the sport. Like, it's this middle class-ish sport, middle upper class. It's like very like, there's a lot more etiquette type things where it's like if the athletes don't do it, it's kind of within the fabrics of the sport a little bit more to get wound up by it. One of the things I liked about Formula 1 is you come into it, you're watching Drive to Survive, that's how a lot of people go into it. You see Magnussen, whatever little clips, suck my balls, drivers say what they want on the radios to their teams in the interviews. It's just like, it's very different from football in that sense, right? But the fan version, it's not. Like, obviously in football, the fans and the way people enjoy the sport is a lot different to the way the athletes conduct themselves around the sport. In F1, it's a lot more hardcore, and in the fan base of football, it's a lot more hardcore. People like shout and shit in the stands. Like, imagine if like you've got like drivers coming around certain corner, you wanker, like people aren't really doing that. I remember when people were burning shirts of Hamilton and Verstappen fans, and people were clutching their pearls, going crazy. And it's like, it's different, obviously, but this is another level. People get this is just a thing of social media, but people get so wrapped up in their little head. Right, what they've envisaged. Oh my God, Hulkenberg's finally done it. I want them all to shower him in champagne, him to be absolutely drowning in it. And I don't care if you've seen happened to other drivers before. I don't care when Lando won, if they all immediately jumped over to Lando. This isn't like it's not a requirement if you're on the podium that you have to do these things. It's not unsportsmanlike if you don't do these things. Everyone on that podium is experiencing their own different point of a roller coaster ride at the moment. Like, Hulkenberg is on top of the world for his own reasons. Lando Norris is on top of the world. He just won his home race. Oscar Piastri wants to burn the whole establishment to the ground. Like, everyone's going through their whole thing. Like, you can't expect people just to drop it all in the moment and do exactly what you want to do because you want your clip. You don't even really care about. You just want it because you want your clip to feel good on Twitter, so you can your GIF. You know, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm not being funny. Hulkenberg got more than enough love that weekend. Every driver was chanting his name. In many ways, his podium outshone Lando winning at home. When he's on the podium, when he's walking out the car, all you can hear is Nico, Nico. Like, he's getting love. He's got Mercedes sending around packages of wine and champagne because apparently Kit can't even afford any. And, like, it's just fucking ridiculous to me that people are like... And by the way, Lando sprayed him with the fucking dregs at the bottom of his bottle towards the end. Sure, they didn't drown him. But it's like... Everyone being like, am I soft? Maybe I'm a little bit soft, but to me it's really poor taste how they do in shower Nico. Like, that's really not sportsmanlike. Here's the thing. If you're like, oh, that's a bit of a shame. It would have been nice to see him spray Nico with Nico with champagne. That would have been a nice moment. That's one thing. I agree. It would have been nice. It would have been like a cute little thing. But I'm not going to be like it's unsportsmanlike. Oh, real bad play there, Lando. How dare, when you got your first win, notice how the drivers immediately ran to you and sprayed you. How dare you not do the same for Nico Hulkenberg? It's like, get off Twitter, mate. Get a grip of your own life. It's just like, it's not that fucking deep. It's not that deep. Like, it's just ridiculous, if anything. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Piastri said after his race that Nico winning was basically the highlight of the whole weekend, which is mad. He was like, I guess this is now a good way to segue onto Piastri. Good Lord, there's a lot to talk about with Piastri, man. Just through his race stuff real quick, he got a good start, not good enough for Max. He was faster than Lando in the weather conditions. Gets a 10-second penalty, finishes second. He wasn't robbed. Okay? To be robbed would to suggest or whatever that we see drivers do what he did all the time and not get punished the way he did. Or to suggest that, you know, if another driver was to do that, they would have done it with no repercussions. I don't think we've got enough to go off to say that, right? Now, I don't know the rule book, but I've seen a lot of safety cars throughout watching Formula 1, and I feel like we don't usually see that. You know, that's not like a typical tactic or typical thing we usually see. So Audi immediately seems out of the ordinary. I think Piastri's right to be angry, because I don't think in his head he was doing anything of foul play. I don't think it's like knowingly driving through a yellow flag, you know, if you didn't lift. Like, I don't think he actively did something that he knew to be bad to gain an advantage. I think he accidentally did something dangerous in a situation of safety, you know, and you got penalised for it. And I think if any other driver did the same thing, they would have as well. It's not like that the commentators, Brundle or whoever, the second it happens, calls it out and goes, oh, Piastri may be in trouble for that there. The second it happened, he called it out and said it, you know? So it's like, he may get a slap on the wrist for that there. And he did. He got 10 seconds for it. And normally, he like, dropped 100 miles per hour in a second in wet conditions, low visibility, and could have been a dangerous situation. People arguing, oh, Max really overdoes it by really breaking past and to make it seem like bigger than it was. Piastri felt, and I think even when Piastri speaks about it, he doesn't speak about it in a place that's like, I didn't do that. What I did should be like is allowed. Even in the cool down room, he's talking about it like, I didn't do anything wrong. And in his actions, he didn't do anything wrong. He's like, I saw the light, I just broke. That's what, and then, because that's what he did. He saw the light and then he broke. But in terms of, like, the reverberations of his actions that weren't with any intention of ill intent, feel like I'm in a fucking courtroom right now. But in terms of like the reactions of what happened, whole Constantino effect. Hulkenberg even said that. You know, Verstappen almost went to the back of him. It's just poor luck. It's just like unfortunate that happened to him because it wasn't. But it happened, and it's like with time that'll be fair enough. 100 shot happened to pass, whatever. And yeah, Piastri's really aggressive in safety car, so he is kind of like that, whether he's first or second. I mean, I was thinking that as well. In some of the earlier safety cars where he's second, he likes to be right up against Verstappen, driving up alongside him almost at times. So he likes to be on the edge a little bit there. And this time, I guess it went over in particularly in wet conditions where you're probably more likely to get slaps on the wrist for stuff like that. It was poor luck from a split decision move, an instinctual thing that he did, but I don't have any reason at the moment to really believe that if any driver did the same thing in the exact same situation, because I know for a fact people will clip up a little race from 4 years ago probably and show me something kind of similar. No, I feel like if anyone else did the same thing in this exact situation in this race, the same thing would happen. Sorry. It's just poor luck, mate. It happens to everyone. But there is, you know, still finishes second after all that, still only 6 points behind. And I'm going to believe someone like a Brundle immediately getting on and being like, oh, then some people over on Twitter who ultimately are just Lando haters, first and foremost, more so than F1 experts. But he was pissed about it. We didn't hear his reaction to getting that penalty because, again, they keep censoring Piastri, because I know for a fact he would have said something. I want to just go silent as if he said nothing. I feel like he would have said something. And yeah. And by the way, I almost fucking forgot. I'm glad I have this written down. In the moment, after they had the pit stops and after he served his 10 seconds and he saw he was about 4 seconds behind Lando, Piastri gets on the radio and does arguably the most Lando thing that people always make fun of Lando for kind of doing at times ever. And he gets on the radio and says, we should swap back. I think he gets on there, puts his little business cap on, his little lawyer hand, says, I think we should swap back because we all agree that my penalty was bullshit, right? I mean, you guys have even been telling me that my penalty was bullshit. So if we all agree it's bullshit, swap me back with Lando and then we can go fight. No issue. But like, this is not fair. And I'm not being funny. If Lando said that, oh my God, the amount he would be banned. I've not seen a single thing on Twitter, really, about anyone clipping that up. Lando last week when he was like, guys, where am I slow? I need help. Give me pace. Everyone, that little line, everyone's clipping up. Just him essentially saying, where can I gain time? Where can I find speed? Where's Piastri quicker than me? At Austria. And in this race, Piastri literally says, give me the place back. Swap me back with Lando. If Lando said that, oh my God. But yeah, he's on his fucking Mourinho shit again. We got another driver once again saying, I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. Honestly, I will be banned for my life if I speak. I prefer not to speak. At this point, speak. All these F1 drivers, I prefer not to speak. If I speak, if I speak, it's big trouble for me. Speak. All these drivers teasing, if I speak, I'll be banned for life. What do you actually have to say, other than I'm fucking pissed, I disagree? All these drivers acting like they've got the most heinous shit to say, crazy receipts to read out or whatever. Like, if it was like, okay, now just say it, Piastri, no punishment, shake hands, what do you have to say?
Oh, it's bullshit.
Oh, bullshit. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're banned, mate. You know what I mean? But, yeah, the cool-down room had minimal chat. They're mainly just talking about Hulk. And then the penalty clip plays of what Piastri got the penalty for, and it just went dead silent. They just watched it like, that's the thing that ruined my race. That's the thing that won me this race. They're just watching it. Hulkenberg's just the awkward one. He's like, I'm not even involved in any of this. I'm just happy with my podium. But... yeah, I mean, and then obviously after as well in the interview, Piastri was saying like, yeah, it's bullshit, obviously. He was fucking pissed. And I used to be scared of Piastri when he was pissed, like, oh, now he's really going to be driving angry, he's really quick. But I felt like he was kind of driving angry at Silverstone after he came out of that pits. And in the wets, it just, yeah, I felt like some of those mistakes were through anger. And then in the interview, they asked him about his race and he goes, yeah, I can't say anything. I think just the real only positive of this weekend is knowing his teammate just won his own race. The only real positive here that anyone can kind of take away from this is Hulk got his first podium, so at least that's nice. That was a little K. Not to say that he wasn't happy that Norris won, but it was a little K. And I actually like that. From Piastri. I like that he's got this little sass on him these days, man. You know, a lot of people just likes the whole quiet thing. the whole nonchalant gimmick, but I do kind of like this. Soft award, medium award, hard award. Soft award, we're going to go with Russell. Because it's the Russell of old, it's the Hail Marys, it's the fucking, I'm ready. Nah, I'm going to do my own thing, Spider-Verse. And then it just cuts to him. Just spinning around. Perfect, like no traction spin. Like it was a clip of Lando just driving, and it just cuts to. And when you watch it, I haven't watched it not on mute. When you watch it on mute, it's just perfect. Just the dichotomy: a guy driving to win his first home race, cut to fucking Russell just fucking going. Verstappen, I'm gonna put on the medium because he managed to finish fifth after all that, and the hard I'm gonna give to Hulk. I'm giving it to Hulkenberg. Watching Drive to Survive those first 2 seasons, when I knew niche about this sport, there was one storyline I can really remember that really got to me. That really made me feel something, that really truly broke me. And it was like the storyline of a man called Nico Hulkenberg and his plights. His desperation for his first podium. And it was like a narrative that at the time, in like one of the first 2 seasons of me watching the show, which is now like 5-6 years old, those first 2 seasons, 6-7 years old maybe. This man's been in the sport for a while, has had a lot of races, is pretty good, no podiums. And that was the narrative then. And then having to watch one of these races, I can't remember where it was, and it was like rain, it was a similar situation, and he was on track for a podium and he span out or his car crashed or something. And you could just see it was going that way, and it was almost like, I can't watch it, mate. And also, because you had this feeling like, this chance is so few and far between and it's not going to happen again. And then to getting into sport, and then to watching so much of the sport, to watch seasons where he hasn't even been in the sport, to come back, to be in teams where you think it's just never going to happen. And for it to happen on this track, in this way, starting from the back, it was just like, wow. It was just nice to see something that I didn't even have pinned on to happen. Even as a thing I would have really liked. I've not even really been thinking or considering it. And for Hulkenberg to get that penalty, even though the guy behind him is probably one of the only drivers who I would have liked enough to maybe be okay with seeing overtake him in Lewis at Silverstone. But to see him get that podium, yeah, it was nice. So you know what? Fuck them for not spraying with champagne. That was fucking bullshit. No, but whatever. Cry more. There was clearly bigger things at stake going on in Piastri's mind as he fucking stared off into the distance. But yeah, having a couple weeks off now, I'll probably post in this gap now my review of the F1 movie. I thought it's a good time to do that. Bit late, but there's no race for the next week, or I think the week after. Then we're at Spa, where it could be a chance for Piastri to throw another punch back, considering he loves Spa, he's good at Spa. And he's got a couple weeks now to collect his thoughts. But this was hard, so we got hard, so I'm going to the end. Thank you very much, and goodbye.